Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. This is the Postmortem for Game 12, featuring Astronaut Cowboys, the number 10 seed, versus Bear Cavalry Sumo, the number 23 seed. This is our second most unfavored poll that we had at 39% favoring Astronaut Cowboys, compared to 61 favoring Bear Cavalry Sumo. I actually think this matchup is closer to 50-50 because that's how it played. Both teams can be incredibly strong against the other. They have ways of disrupting the other. And it went to game 3, it went to overtime in game 3, and it just so happens that Bulking Stew had the exact amount of cards in order to win the game. One power here or there on the previous base, one less card, and Astronaut Cowboys would take this. They also didn't necessarily draw well in game 3, so it shows that this matchup was pretty even, though I understand why people would want Bear Cavalry Sumos to win more than the other. One of the keys to this game is understanding the opponent. I'll often talk about what's my plan and what's their plan. Well, both teams have to do that significantly because the plans can contradict each other. With the Astronaut Cowboys, they can steal bases. They can set things up. They can be really oppressive with their duels. But you have to throw that out the window against Bear Cavalry Sumo. You do not want to duel them unless you're being extremely careful. There are circumstances where you'd want to. If you were playing Form a Posse to prevent your minions from being moved, that could be one thing. If you were going to be sure that they were out of actions that could disrupt you, you might want to duel there as well. Otherwise, you want to focus purely on the power increasing actions of that faction and the fact that they have specials and can overtake you. Even if the Astronaut Cowboys are going to be losing a base before it scores and winning as it scores because of their specials, that's perfectly okay. There is nothing that the Bear Cavalry Sumo can do about it. But the Astronaut Cowboys also have a pretty clear card draw game plan because of their cards like Space Knight, which is great for drawing cards, and Manners Bot, and Gold Strike. Bear Cavalry Sumo can deal with these actions a lot. They have action destruction, so they can get rid of Gold Strike. They have ways of destroying minions, so you have to be very careful. You don't want to have your only minion be Space Knight, and all of a sudden it gets bear hugged, because that would be awful. They can destroy with High Ground, but the Astronauts have a counter to that in Astro Robot. They have their own form of action destruction. Both teams can counter each other pretty well, and it's really going to come down to who draws better and who can make their big plays more consistently. Bear Cavalry Sumo has to be very careful because they have power creep written all over it. Major Ursa is growing big every turn. The Astronaut Cowboys don't have an answer for the Titan, which is unfortunate, and the Titan can also be used to guarantee presence on a base, which is frustrating. You know, as much as I can kill off all your minions, if you have one power with Major Ursa, that's going to be second place. That's unfortunate. You also have the fact that Major Ursa can move to any base, and you don't necessarily know the true target. With a card like Bulking Stew, at some point it's going to happen, you don't know when. It might be at the end of the game, but it might not be, and we've seen instances where it wasn't at the end of the game, purely because it meant that Bear Cavalry Sumo could get a ton of solo points and get enough of a lead. Astronaut Cowboys, they can do similar things. With Space Prince, they can, use the 4s or any number of their other power increasing actions. Even Form a Posse could be a pretty good power increasing action. They have the Deputies that could just be played for free and give you a bunch of power. So both teams have tools. That's why this matchup was so close. When a matchup is close, it really is just going to come down to the quirks of the match. As I mentioned before, that a power here or there, or a card here or there in game 3 would have made the difference. A Deputy ended up getting stolen from Jakar. That ended up being the difference, because it meant that not only am I out one of my best cards, but it's free power for him to use in order to break a base. He doesn't have to use Major Ursa. That's really unfortunate because if Major Ursa is used there, then the rest of the game plays out completely differently. And we were tied going up until Bastion St. Gervais. Bastion St. Gervais, because of Jakar, because of a card that I stole from it, I was able to claw my way into first place and keep the game going. That wouldn't have happened without Jakar. Basically, I hate Jakar. I talk about it a lot. A bunch of unexpected things happen. But I think in this case, it benefited both of us and it hurt both of us. It's just a question of who was better positioned. By the time that the Astronaut Cowboys got their card draw engine going, it was a little bit too late. They would have won on their next turn. They could have won on their previous turn if they drew literally anything else. But that's not how the game works. You draw what you draw, and Bear Cavalry Sumo were able to overtake it. It's unfortunate with Grasp the Belt because the only way to keep the game going is to push a powerful top tier off of that base. But he also has a head start on the next base. So it makes sense that he would win the race in that regard because it's just, even though I've got turn advantage, he has minion presence advantage. And who can break what first? They won the race. So congrats to Bear Cavalry Sumo. They're going to be advancing to Game 3. They have a similar opponent in Cyborg 8 Musketeers. Cyborg 8 Musketeers still have their 0 to breakpoint strategies, but Bear Cavalry Sumo can be equally oppressive. Again, if they're playing just one minion at a time, they can slow them down significantly. They can't stop Juiced Up, but they can stop Flying Monkey, which is going to be really interesting. I'm unfortunate that I had Astronite Cowboys advancing to the next round, but it makes sense that Bear Cavalry Sumo would advance. Again, congrats to them. That's it for today's Postmortem. We'll see you tomorrow for Game 13. Let's shut it down.